Welcome to Defy Your Limits. Today I have Mr. Aaron Evans with me. This one's gonna be fun, guys. I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Aaron, a friend I've had in real life for quite some time. I think the actual first time we ever met was in Orlando in a line waiting to go to an event. And I just felt your energy in that moment. And I was like, this kid doing something. I didn't know what you were doing at that time, but come to find out you live in Dallas and we've been able to do some amazing stuff here in person, help a lot of individuals, but you specifically have been able to go to so many different states, countries, tours, just doing the things you do best and being able to educate and inspire so many individuals, man. And I can't wait to dive deeper into that conversation today. So feel free to jump in, introduce yourself, where you are, like where you're from, backstory a little bit, and then we'll get right into it.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron Evans, also known as the Real 86 years young. I live here in Dallas, Texas. First got involved actually in just trading in the industry back in 2018, July. I was working at a car wash called Sam's Car Wash. I was a car detailer, which my role at the job was to simply clean the insides of the car, cup holders, inside mirrors, steering wheels, dashboards, and then at the end, I would lay my towel at their doorstep, and so their wet shoes wouldn't be nice and dry before going in there. And I was working for tips. And it did pretty well, but I was not entirely happy. But it did what it needed to do. Got a phone call from a line brother, and he said, "Hey, would you like to learn how to make money off the phone?" I said, "Absolutely." I signed up. 217 was the price at the time within the organization of iMarkets Live, and now 7 years later, seven now, which is insane. Seven in July would be 7 years of educating, inspiring, traveling, teaching educational Forex because one of the biggest things I believe in is education. Guys, I don't come from poor beginnings. I have a two-parent household, both a black mom and a black dad. I have a beautiful little sister and a beautiful older sister. We never fought. We never argued. No one has gun violence in the household. No one's been shot by guns. No one's been arrested. No one's been to jail. No one's been with divorce. All my grandparents died happily of natural, like my grandparents are alive and one of them passed away of natural causes. I don't have, no one's been born out of wedlock. No one's been inbreeding fighting. There's no infidelity to go around. We are Christians. We all believe in the same things. Like I am not the typical poor background story that's profitable in the media these days. I'm just a typical guy who grew up in a multicultural neighborhood. But even in my blessing, which some people will call a privilege, that's my blessing. Even in my blessing, I was still exposed to those who had lack, sons who don't have fathers in their life. And so, really, for me, trading, and to wrap this up, for me, trading now, it was the money in the beginning, education in the midway, and now transitioning to, okay, how can I get fathers connected to their sons? How can I get families together? Because if 60% of divorces are broken up because of finances, what if we found a way to help the financial outcomes within these bad relationships? So now that money can be out of the argument and they can focus on the emotional things that they got to deal with without finances slowing that down. If we could do that, I could believe there's a lot less children that's going to be fatherless. So that is my why, that is my vision, and that is who I am.
That's amazing. And it's just so cool to see the journey. Like we start for one thing, and same thing for me. It's like we started to learn because you just want to make some more money. Like there's that initial draw to it, and then what trading does to you as a person because of the industry totally changes the way we view money, time, relationships, the things that matter to us.
Everything,
It
everything.
changes it all. Amazing. That's such a cool story, Aaron. And it's so cool to see
Appreciate it.
you, like, do it and watched you go on tour, and I've seen the conversation, I've seen those people impacted, and to know some of the stories is pretty awesome, so keep doing.
It's entirely a blessing, man. We just have to understand, like, as this is a uncomfortable industry.
Hmm,
And what I mean by that is because when you combine network marketing with trading, network marketing already has a bad stigma for a million umpteenth reasons that you will never not hear. And we know it exists. But we also know there's the other side of people who get extremely rich off of that. Then you have trading. Investing is already scary with unfortunately, in my eyes, the politics of investing now really bleeds the actual opportunity people can have because it's openly available to everyone, but there's this lack of belief that you can go do it. And there's this, what are we holding back on? And so you got to fall in love with solving that problem. You got to fall in love with being ridiculed. You got to fall in love with the fact that to be a leader in this industry, you have to risk being offended by the people you're trying to help.
Mm.
And if you're not willing to do that, Grace, there is no way. Like, because we're able to do that, that's how me and you are friends. Because we both have an understanding of this is uncomfortable, but there is a lifestyle, there is a manifestation that I want to achieve. And we are going to do what we are going to serve as many people as possible to be able to achieve our dreams as well. And that's why I love this relationship. That's why I love what we do.
I love what we do. It's really cool to you don't have to know everything, and I know for you when you started, it wasn't your main thing. You're obviously doing other jobs. You currently still, are in corporate world and have been able to leverage corporate as well as trading and be able to do all of your entrepreneurial stuff. Kind of break down, like, doing both, like, living in both worlds, corporate and entrepreneurship.
Okay. So understand that you have to learn how to wear different hats and understand that each world has its time and its purpose. Jim Rohn always said, when it's time to work, work. When it's time to play, play. Don't work. You do not play at work and you don't work while you play. And it's so I think about that with business. When I'm working at Chase, I focus on Chase. When I'm off of Chase, I focus on my business. Right. And I don't let I don't let my business interfere with Chase. I don't let Chase interfere with my business. Right. I keep them as separate entities because the main thing is that it has to be the main thing. And right now it's Chase just because it financially supports me a little bit better. Is that going to be my end game? No. But my dad always says, do not let the mainstream be affected by the second. And so as you're doing both, it is okay to understand where you are. So there's this concept that I teach my team called the gratitude ladder. Okay. So let's say you're day trading and the way that I'm able to bleed the worlds. So, in your 9 to 5 world, all of your bills, rent, electricity, water, those bills, right? So you write those out. You write down every bill you have, even down to your tiny little $2.99 Apple iCloud subscription that I know you have and we all do. But now you rank every bill from the cheapest to the most expensive. And so while you're day trading, you always remind yourself, okay, dang, I didn't make $50 today. It was my goal, but I still made 10. That's enough for me to cover these bills. Right. And now it centers you back. It just centers you back down to your reality. So your emotions don't intertwine and bleed into the other because once again, you have to keep them separate. So in order to do that, the gratitude ladder acts as a medium where that has allowed me and allowed people that I teach within the community. It's just a technique. Do people have to use it? No. So I just expose the technique and those who use it and those who don't. I'm never going to force anybody to do it, but that is how I'm able to separate it. So if you're able to separate the two by work is work, play is play. This business is here. This business is here. Allocate, allocate your energy, delegate your assignments, keep your faith intact, keep your vision, like, make sure everybody has an aligned vision and stay disciplined to your morals and values, and you'll be able to be successful. And that's what
It's so cool. I've never met somebody more diligent when it comes to budgeting, scheduling, where your energy's spent. You do a phenomenal job of allocating resources in a responsible way. Did you always have that skill set, or was that something you kind of had to learn because of trading?
I had to develop that, man. It was not easy. It was my mom was more of a tactician when it came to discipline and schedules. With her being in the corporate world at a high management level, her masterclass of talent needed to be displayed in her ability to schedule, in her ability to allocate time and energy and delegate specific tasks to the agents that she was assigned to and that was managing, while also keeping rapport in a personal level with each and every single one of those agents. And so that is not something that's easy, right? That takes time, that takes diligence, that takes practice and practice and practice. And so the first place where I really got that under control was at Chili's. Was one of my first really server jobs after post COVID, during COVID, a little bit, like wearing masks, which was absolutely outrageous. Oh my God. Serving with a mask on was just
How do you agree?
not fun, but you just had to get creative, right? And so even then, how can you brighten someone's day when you can't speak?
Mhm,
And so learning how to, that's where I tuned into energy being spent because now I don't speak, but now I have to use my body. And so then I would finish the chili shift. I'm going home sore. So I'm like, okay, what kind of physical energy did I just spent here? Okay, where can I display this easier? Where can I find efficiency in the physical aspect? Because that's the one thing, contrary to popular belief, your body is the first thing to react to anything before you can even emotionally rationalize how you feel. Your physical body is going to feel something first. It's the first thing, right? So if I know that that's the first thing I can learn and control, let me learn how my energy is spent there. Now I can then get better at, okay, where's my sleep at? What kind of sleep do I need? Okay, what time do I need to go to bed? Okay, if I need to go at this time and I can wake up at this time, then I can be able to set a schedule when I'm going to work. Okay, work's gonna give me from here to here. Okay, if I go to bed, sleep here, I need to wake up at this time. Okay, now I'm. It was almost like I was experimenting on myself for years, just figuring out what is my own mojo, and that's like an attachment to shadow work, but that's more on a psychoanalytic side. This is more on the physical side. That's some 5D stuff. This is some 2D, 3D world. Like we're not gonna get that deep. That allowed me to go through it. And so just trial and error. And then honestly saying F it. Sometimes just like when I did my first tour and it was in college. It's my
mhm.
first college tour. I was like going to Duke, UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, and that was like in 2019, I believe, 2019. I'm in college. When I came back from China, I was studying abroad. So I remember going on that my very first tour, just trying to plan that out. That was just, hey, we're just gonna do this. Why not? I know some people in each thing. Let's just go meet up with them. They're students, so we can meet up probably at their cafe and just go from there. And just sometimes you had to make it. So it's a journey.
For anybody listening, as far as like what does actually going on tour mean, I know that you have students within your trading community that are in pockets of places all over the world. And so explain a little bit like what tour looked like and like how that actually.
Okay. What does tour look like? Okay, so the planning period probably took me about 3 months.
Mhm,
So every tour takes me about 3 months to plan because I align my 9 to 5 schedule. I align my all of my vacation and sick hours to be able to compensate for that trip. So I make sure that's aligned. And then I go ahead and send that to get it approved. Once I get the approval of those days, then my next step is going, okay, where is my team? I never go on tour. I learned this lesson from a gentleman of Jeremiah Smith. He told me, don't travel to cities where your team is not located. That's a waste of a trip.
mhm,
Only go to places where your team is located. So then I would figure out, okay, where does my team live? So then I write those cities down. Then I go, okay, this state has 3 cities in it. I'm picking one city and let's just get everybody to that location. So then I go, okay, who lives in those cities that are higher leaders similar to me or my mentors? I figure those out. Then I start making phone calls. So I call my team. I say, hey, would you be down to do an event in your city for a tour? I'm going to come and bring somebody with me. We'll pack it out. They're like, done. Boom. Get the approval of my students first. Then I call the leader. Hey, I hosted an event with my students down in Florida. We're thinking we're going to get it maxed out. Love you to come. They're like, down, bet. Now I have them. We get the location, we get the date and the time. I get that organized. I send it to my flyer guy. Hey, man, get this made. At the same time, the square, at the Eventbrite at the time, I was using Square. Eventbrite goes down, Eventbrite's ready to go. Flyer comes back, event's ready. Now, when I travel, I don't travel for one day. I always travel the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I can take 2 days of vacation, which is roughly 16 hours. Well, 8 hours. So 16, 8 hours a day. So I can take out 16. If you get 120 hours a year and I can do 16, 16 times 5, I believe, is 0.3 is 80. So I can do 5 weeks with 80 hours and still have 40 hours of vacation left. That's not including Gray's Peep. That's not including I got 96 hours of sick time I haven't touched. So now I have over 200 of vacation hours that I can discipline out so I can pull off a 10-week thing and spend 160 hours of my 240 and still have 80 left on each side, 80 left in total that I only have to use for the winter. Like, so now you have a 10-week tour, you go to 10 cities, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And because it's 3 months out in the part, I can sparely spend on my Airbnbs every paycheck, but not burn myself out. I was still able to pay my necessities, but then the extra money went to an Airbnb, went to paying for a one-way to get there. And then when I landed, paid for a one-way back home. And like, that's like just over and over and over. And then it's doing, and because it was an Airbnb, we just did it in the Airbnb. And so I would, or the Airbnb, or would just go to a freaking Starbucks. And now I want to do a tour again. What is with public libraries? Those are free spaces. And so it's like, and it's harmless, man. And it's harmless, but you got to love for it. And so tour. So we get there on Thursday. So I fly out. I get up on Wednesday, get up early morning Thursday. I always get a morning flight, probably 6 a.m. flight. Fly there, get there on Thursday. I either get picked up by my mentee, or I take an Uber to the Airbnb, or I take an Uber, or I hang out in the airport until it's time for the Airbnb to open. I'll Uber to the Airbnb, and then I'll or I'll get a Turo, a rental, maybe like a Nissan, some cheap, some $200, like nothing crazy. Then I drive around and get some food. I go to a bar. I always go to a bar. It's one of the first things I always do is when I get down there, I get to the Airbnb, get comfortable, and then I go to a bar. It's kind of tradition for me. If you guys think that's weird, okay, that's perfectly fine. But that's
It's
just
like
what I
game day
do.
routines. It's like game
Uh,
day routines. I think of
it's
like events as like game days. So if
Yeah,
that's your
game day rituals. So then Thursday I get there, I invite the team. We'll do a trade night. Friday we'll get up, we'll trade New York, and then we'll promote for the event the entire time. And then we'll go to the event that Saturday. Or no, we'll go to the event. Yeah, we'll do the event on Saturday at the library. Have a good time. Well, wherever we did it. We did it for about 2.5 hours. After that, we went out that night, got lit, had a good time at the club, and then get on that Sunday morning flight, come home, sleep, rest, go to work on Monday, and then head out that next Thursday, Friday, and just do it, and just did it, and did it, and did it, and did it, and then. But also, when I submitted it at work, I also talked to my boss in person. I said, "Hey, I'm about to do this, and I'm just letting you know, like 4 months in advance, that it's about to happen. Oh, I don't want you to be surprised."
making it very apparent. This is important to me. I'm doing my best to be able to do both. But yeah,
If you're gonna do a tour, you got to set your intentions up front. What is your intention of the tour? And so all of my tours were never about growing my business. My tours were always about getting to know my team and developing relationships, because then when it's time to do promos, I know know your vision, I know your why. And so when you're struggling in a roadblock, I know what kind of words and verbiage and visuals and exercises and trainings I can specially curate for my mentee, because that's how much you really have to give a damn. And that's what frustrates me, Grace, is that people, a little sidebar, people really don't give a damn. And I really hate that. I really hate how we speak such a high level about trading and this is going to free us, but we really do not give people who are just hoping that they have some kind of mentorship the time of day. And so when you're on tour, that you are going to be spiritually, psychologically, physiologically spent. You will be physically drained. You will come home on that Sunday pooped. And you know what? By the grace of God, you get up and do it again because you want it and you're just hungry in that drive. And it is so that's tour in a nutshell. I know that's kind of a long breakdown, but that really is tour.
yeah, tour is insane. Like with the amount of energy and effort. And if you guys are listening, like you just got the best experience of like planning events. Like event running events is massive amount of work when it comes to promotion, when it comes to actually having relationships in cities. You really do need help. You need the leverage. And so having those relationships in each pocket, you build that online, you translate it to in real life, and then you get to grow it from there. So don't skip the social media side of it. don't skip the online relationship building because that stuff translates to the in-person stuff. And I think you do that exceptionally well when it comes to building relationships. Like I've seen you work a room when it comes to building relationships in Dallas. I've seen you do it in many different countries, and it is really cool to meet those people later and be like, Aaron, that guy cares.
Yeah, and it's I remember Mexico
Yeah.
today. It's so what's interesting. I love building these relationships because you have no idea how many millions of ways we could connect to people. It is astounding how intricate we are, how out of all the chaos and complications we have a way to create communities, man. And it's just the ability to do that. It takes skill. It takes a lot of patience.
Mhm.
You got to be so patient with people. You have to really give people a ton of benefit of the doubt. Like when I was in China, like, yeah, people can say China, Chinese are racist to black people. That's fair. That's a fair statement, because there's times that it happened. But did I really trip about it? No, I gave it the benefit of the doubt because I'm in their country as a visitor and they don't see people like me. And so even when I bet you probably saw I Show Speed, the streamer. He went to China. 37 million people watching him live, watching him interact with Chinese people in the most authentic way. And were they making fun of him? Duh. You saw it in person. But he shrugged it off. He laughed. He enjoyed himself because he understood that this is a world. I'm the visitor here. I am the stranger. And so you just gotta love it, man. And I love it. And I love meeting new people. There's always something that somebody can learn from. There's value in everybody. And I really do hope that please do not let the color of somebody's skin disappear and dismantle and disvalue the message that the person is providing. Focus on the message, not the messenger. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes the biggest blessing is going to come from the most unknown of places. And if you have that kind of faith and you understand that, maybe sometimes the lessons that you need to learn are not going to come from the people that look like you. You might have to learn from other people who come from different walks of life. Like I'm an African American male, but I love Jim Rohn. Like that is an excellent guy. There's probably people like Grace, you might like Myron Golden. Like, okay, cool. Just because of the skin doesn't disappear the value of the message. That right there, if you can get good at that, building online relationships it just becomes fun to do. And then it becomes a habit and then it becomes routine. Then it's second nature.
That's so cool, Aaron. It's such a special thing to be able to really learn from every single individual around you. And like every single person has so much depth and they're dynamic. And what's cool is in this space, we get to see people become the best version of themselves. And they're also allowed to fail in front of us. And so being able to fail in front of our own friends, in front of our mentors, mentees, all of that, it's such a cool process to be able to see.
Exactly.
Switching to kind of like I would say, kind of fun stuff within crypto. I know that's a lane that you've gotten into.
Yeah. Let's
Tell
talk.
me a little bit about because you work in the bank, you work in finance.
Yeah.
And what's the staggering contrast between working at Chase and then also being in the crypto world? Because banks and crypto people sometimes they don't really like each other. They just don't
Yeah.
really understand it. So kind of like walk through that picture.
Okay. So we have to understand that banks are a for business or for profit business. Their job is to earn a profit some way. And the crypto industry was a uncertain risk due to not enough, I would say, infrastructure when it came to the blockchain and pump and dumps, scams, meme coins, NFTs. The dangers within those hesitated financial institutions for a very long time, which rightfully so, they criticized. Diamond, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they all had their even BlackRock, Vanguard. These guys trillions of dollars were even hesitant to invest in the crypto market. So for crypto people, they had this sense of libertarianism. They felt liberated in their own echo chambers of the fact that we now could beat the government. Essentially, like we now are the new wave of finance. And it was true. It was happening in real time where, okay, I can't wire you money anymore because that takes 3 to 5 business days. I can send you via Bitcoin and get you there in 2 hours. And now we are able to rapidly increase transaction speeds, which financial institutions have to pay money to Visa, MasterCard, and American and Discover to move transactions across the country. Like Visa moves quadrillions of dollars a year. That's what they're a technology company. They don't have any other physical brands. What brand does Visa have? They don't have a card. They don't have a physical product. They don't have anything but debit cards and credit cards. They are technology. And so if we know that the most financially profitable industry is finance in the realm of market shares, the derivatives market, forex market, commodities market. Get all the markets together and how much they're valued together, put them all in one big number. It's super, super big. I don't even know if I can do the math on how big that number would be just in financial markets in every industry in the world. So if we know that, okay, how are they going to move money around the world? Okay, they need technology. Okay, wait a minute. Crypto, how are they able to move faster speeds? Blockchain. So then the financial institutions were saying, okay, we don't really care about the pop and circumstance of the meme coins and the NFTs. We don't really give a damn. We don't really, that's not our play. We want the infrastructure. We want the nuts and the bolts and the meat and potatoes of crypto. That's blockchain technology, moving faster transactions, contracts, smart contracts, transparency, right? Time things, Bitcoin address, wallets, cold storages, right? Storing wealth in different ways. Now to the fact that we are able to issue out loans in Bitcoin on top with mortgage loans combined. So that when a family pays off the mortgage, they keep all the Bitcoin as equity on the home that they can turn over and sell. Like that is happening in the masses. We're talking about governments are saying, you know what? We don't want to use the US dollar. Let's set up BRICS and let's just move money in Bitcoin to buy our oil, gas, and natural resources. And then Africa comes along and it's like, you know what? We're going to leverage crypto, like Nigeria being one of the second biggest country holders of Bitcoin in the world, third world country, but number 2 of all Bitcoin holdings. Why? Because they believe that technology will allow them to get to the equal playing field. Countries like El Salvador, 10 to 20% of almost 40% of their entire country's gross domestic product in Bitcoin when it was at 40 bands. It skyrocketed to 102,000. El Salvador went from like 58 to 20 in wealth.
Yep. And then their president was tweeting. He said, "I think I was right," and like he was
like trolling everybody.
trolling the internet.
So then you got to think like the banks have been running this game, not just in the United States, the Federal Reserve, the Vatican, all the way back to Europe with the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds is not even their original name. That's not even what they were called. But they owned all the banks in Europe at the time in Austria. And it's just, and then when you just study how the money moves around, then you have fractional reserve banking. They want to come around and they're like, okay, now let's invest that money into crypto. Now we're buying ETH. Now we're going to open up what? We need ETFs because now we want to offer crypto as a product to our long-term investors because they don't want just Bitcoin. Oh no, that's too scary. No, we'll do it in ETF where I'll give you a collection of cryptos so that there's space within it. So race is transforming fast, man. So yeah, the banks will confuse the media and say they're not for it, but then on those balance sheets, they are all.
And then you mentioned the technology and the Swift banking system. Can you touch on that real quick?
The Swift banking system was just how banks communicated.
And that's how they currently, that's the technology that they're using right now? Or is
Yeah.
that the one that they're transitioning to starting to use some
No,
different?
because Swift was actively connected to the active clearinghouse ACHs. So they involve documentation, wires, transactions. That's what Swift was really doing. And then now they want to introduce ISO 2022, which is now involving crypto with Algorand, Quant, Ripple, XLM, Stellar Lumens. And there's a couple others in there as well, some little ones. But that's now going to be the way that they could process transactions quicker. between institutions.
Super fast. Yeah.
And so at a cheaper price, which will allow them to make a lot of money. So they'll invest into those cryptos so that when the price is rising, the prices to stay cheaper.
That was a brilliant breakdown. Like, if you guys missed that, go back and watch that because you just broke down literally, like, very simply
Thank
price.
you.
I could probably nerd out with crypto talk for forever, and I know you and I go back and forth on this, but like, how does somebody who's brand new to crypto, maybe heard about it, but like, how do they even start learning about it? Like, what's the journey like? Would lay out like the first 2 years of learning about crypto, because
Okay.
like the first couple
Well,
months, what the heck am I?
two 2 years. There's 90 days is what, 3 months? Times four would be 12, right? So there's four 90-day periods. 2 years, correct?
Mhm.
We'll discuss, if you guys are taking notes, we're going to discuss your 890 days. These are all sectioned off, your 890 days. And then guys, what I'm about to tell you right now is completely off the dome. All right. This is not, I've never said this. I've never taught it. This is exclusive. I've never said this before. All right. So this is completely off the dome. So take notes because I'm not going to repeat myself. All right. Your first 90 days, you need to develop a narrative. And your narrative is, what do I want crypto to do for me? Because crypto has multiple different utilities and different use cases. And so you don't have to follow a majority narrative within crypto because there's a vast variety of choices to make. And within each of those cryptos, they have their own communities, they have their own researches, they have their own whys, they have their own things called white papers, which is pretty much the construct of what the crypto is meant to do, which you'll get your answer on what is their use case for that crypto. So develop a personal narrative. So for me, my personal narrative is I want crypto to be able to residually pay my necessities. That's it. I'm not really looking to become a super billionaire with crypto, but I want to be able to earn dividend on my coins and be able to utilize it because I'm big into decentralized autonomous organizations and being able to find ways to get back to the community, right? For me, crypto would be more for community service kind of thing, but still gain wealth, but find ways to get back. So that's the narrative that I have. So your first 90 days is simply about creating narrative. And then literally just Google stuff and just read random stuff. And that will allow you to go from there. So that's your first 90 days, develop a narrative. Your second 90 days is you need to set up your foundation. Okay. This is where you need to start studying exchanges and learn the differences between centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges and what they do and what are the rules and terms and conditions of both. Understand what they do, what they don't do, what they allow you to do, what they don't allow you to do. Learn also what coins sit in which exchanges, because the way that you buy crypto, this is very important. Millions of dollars are lost because people simply purchase crypto in the wrong locations, simply off of that. They fall for scams, they fall for random links, and they don't know how to securely buy crypto through the proper channels. So that's why I haven't told you to buy anything yet, because you need to study the landscape on where you can enter and exit. You need to know how you can get in, and you need to have a way to get you out. Right? You don't go in without knowing a way if you need to get out if things get bad. Okay, don't do that. Have a way how you can get in. You need to know how to get out. So set your foundation. Study the exchanges, learn your ins and outs. So develop your narrative and set your foundation. Number 3, start to obtain capital. Now, this is door dashing, saving up $50 here and there for paycheck, put it aside. Something I did was that every time I got paid, I would go straight to an ATM and withdraw $60, and I'll put it in the envelope and I'll leave it in my room. And I do that every paycheck, every 2 weeks. And I did that for about 6 months, right? So just storing up capital. But notice how those 290 days is what great. And now we're into your 9th month of you're just developing capital, because guess what happens in the 4th quarter of that year? Crypto goes on sale.
Facts.
Now, because crypto's on sale, what have you done, Grace? What have
Stored
we
up.
done? You stored up your knowledge. So you know why you're going, you know your why, you got your bases loaded, you now know how to use your tools, and you have your money, and now you have your money. Now you can plan your attack, set your positions in that fourth quarter. Now you're in the game. Now you're developing the patience. This is now your trading discipline needs to come in. Your warrior mindset, you're emotionless. You got to be stone cold. This is called dollar cost averaging. Now you are dollar cost averaging into the market and setting up positions, finding your take profits, finding your partial levels, drawing up your fibs, reading the papers and start. And now you really have to silence certain news. You now really have to study fundamentals because now different things are going to happen within the markets, right? This is where you can start getting into liquidity pools. You can start diving into discords, start getting into Telegram chats, start getting into live meetups. This is now where you really dive into community and positioning. So, Grace, how we doing? We're
That's
four
great.
down, right? Four
Yeah.
down so far? Okay. Also, this is good. Okay. First is set your narrative. Number 2, get your foundation, learn your tools. Number 3, obtain capital. And then dollar
Yeah.
cost average and position, right? Now we're into that's your first year. Now we're in the second year. All right.
Dude, that's a
Good.
solid plan for year 1. Not jokes.
We're gonna have to record that, split it up into a reel.
Gosh.
We're gonna blast that. We can blast that one. That was good. That was good. All right. So now we're into your second year. Okay. So your second year now, in the first quarter, you're gonna be itching to take profit because now new money's coming in from Christmas gifts. People got their Christmas money. They're selling stuff, they're buying things. And so the markets are going to highly react to the Christmas sentiment that's happening, which is typically positive every year. It's typically really green every year. Now, except for election years. On election years, you can expect it to be a little bit down just because there's going to be initial reaction to whoever that president is in office and where they stand on crypto. For Trump, Bitcoin hit all time highs and then it tanked immediately after, hit 70K. Right? But guess what people did? A lot of people panicked, but other people who had capital stored up from when? The fourth quarter, who didn't take their out the positions, they already closed out on their profits at 90K. So when price dipped to 70, they reloaded and dumped again. Where's Bitcoin now? At 98K again. Riding these waves, right? But that takes that trading discipline they developed when, Grace? In their first year. So now they know what their narrative is. So now you're not coming in with emotion, you're coming in with discipline and logical, actionable steps. So your first quarter that is just reinforcing your discipline again. Maybe start taking partials if you're at that price point. That's your first quarter. Second quarter, you need to be looking to where am I going to diversify my earnings? This is when tax season is starting to get up on you. Get your money and taxes in order. Get your documents ready to go. Okay, where do you donate? Where do I need to move money last minute? Do I need to move it to another asset? What's the next asset class that's coming out? What's the SEC, the Fed rates? The Fed's going to start dropping its rates for the year. So those are big news events. So now the second quarter is tax allocation and asset diversification. It's the second quarter. The third quarter, you're taking profit. Get your money out, start cashing out, right? Now you're cashing out, you're earning your gains. And that's when and that to me is where you can truly start having fun. That is your fun time. You've spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 90 days. Roughly, what's that? 270, 360.
A little
No,
bit.
bro.
Like
6, you spent
4 or
you
500.
spent a year and a half.
Yeah.
You spent a year and a half of discipline, of hard work, earning it. This is where you splurge. I honestly think that is your summer to have a good time. Go spend money. Go buy the designer. That's when you go on the fancy trip. That's when you go buy your mama something nice because now you've deserved the earnings. You diversified yourself. Your tax allocation is ready to go. And in the fourth quarter, you look to reinvest. Where are you looking to reinvest? Where are you looking to diversify? Where do you start partitioning out and getting ready for the next year? So guys, that is my 2-year 90-day breakdown. So let's break it down again. So we have number 1 is get your narrative. Number 2, get your foundation. Number 3, build your capital. Number 4, dollar cost average, get in position. Number 5, reinforce your discipline. Number 2, set up your tax paperwork and asset diversification. Number 3, take profit and splurge, have a good time. Number 4, figure out where you're going to reinvest.
Bro, off the top of your head.
Off the top of my dome, man. That's what I do.
That's so
That is the real AE family. If you guys want to learn more, just follow me on Instagram, follow my socials. I'm here to do one-on-ones, private one-on-ones. If you want to schedule one-on-one with me, let's do it.
it's pretty cool because it's like everybody has a different narrative, and I'm glad you touched on that because like some people they don't want to use crypto for everything. They want a certain portion, and I think that is such a brilliant part of the journey is like how do you want this to work for you? Which part of it do you want to work for you? Is this your fun money? Is this your dumb money? Like who cares? Like however you choose to go about doing that, but you do your responsible stuff first, then your fun.
Exactly.
Always responsible first, then fun. And you're doing that with profit. Like, you're not doing that with earned income.
Profit.
Yeah, it's
And
profit.
guys, remember, this entire time you're still working your 9 to 5, stacking up cash. You're still doing it. You're still working your 9 to 5 job, knocking off bills as you go, knocking off debt, getting your credit cleaned. Like now, like when you're splurging, now your credit's clean. You got that 800 credit score with profit.
Yeah, you're good.
You can now really buy something nice. Now you can get that McLaren 570. That's $102,000. You know what I'm saying? A McLaren that's cheaper than a Lambo. You're like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like 120K for like 102K for like a McLaren, like C570, I think that's what it's called. It's 102,000. Yeah. And I was looking at it like, man, that's a nice car because they stopped making the BMW i8s. That's the car I manifested for life. But I was looking at the McLaren and said, man, the McLaren be nice. And I'm a guy who's classy, but I might need something loud. You know, I've been real humble for many, many years, and I think I think it's time for me to make some noise.
You never know. You can do a lot with crypto profits.
Absolutely.
That was a great breakdown. When it comes to being able to use, I would say like crypto in your normal day to day, are you trading every day? Are you looking at the charts every day? Does it like, how do you balance that with your entire life and all of the things that you do?
Full transparency. So within our platform, they send out crypto trade ideas, and I just take those, copy and paste. I don't day trade. I don't look at it day to day. I only copy and paste when they get called, and then I dollar cost average on the weekends. That's about it.
Like being able to leverage technology to be able to
That's
have
it,
it.
man. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I don't give it too much energy. I kind of read stuff here and there, but it's just not mine. It's just never been my. Being honest, man, like crypto, even as descriptive in the way I've been so articulate about it so far, it's still not even my main cup of tea. Right? Forex is my main cup of tea. But just I've been able to translate knowledge from Forex to make crypto make sense for me. And that's just what I do. I just copy and paste using technology, and then I dog God's average on the weekends. And that's about it.
Brilliant. And your foundation was laid in Forex, and
Yeah,
then you
Forex.
translated that information over to the crypto industry.
Absolutely, man. These markets talk the same.
Whew, that was like so much information. You guys get to watch that. That was so powerful.
Yeah, that's right there. That's a lot right there. You can end it right there and be like, you know what? Great job. Yo, you can work with that for the next 6 months. Get busy with that. You know, get ruled down and dirty for the next 6 months on one video. That's how these podcasts nowadays are really being. Like you can watch one podcast every day for 6 months. Like there was a podcast I watched by Andrew Huberman for 6 months. Like I just couldn't stop watching it. It was like it was so good. It was about like focus, and I was just like, this is so good. I just couldn't stop watching it.
The super tactical ones for sure.
Oh, dude, Alex Ramosi. Oh, dude, Chris Williamson. Jesus. 19 Keys, Chris Williamson, Earn Your Leisure, Alex Ramosi, Diary of a CEO, Luke Belmer, Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit. What's another one? Oh, there's this one with there's these two girls. They are brilliant. And then you have a lot of a lot of the liberal ones are really good too.
Mhm.
The diehard Democrat ones, as much as they're diehard Democrats, they're actually really good. They're articulate, they speak their stance, they have really good points. I respect it. And you have to. And even if you and because I'm more in favor of conservative stuff, that's just how I am. In the realm of conversations like this and information and breaking things down in the world of crypto, just the way that people talk about investing, you have to love different perspectives. You have it. So whether a liberal says X, Y, and Z about certain things and how they feel that crypto, here's a perspective they have. They believe that crypto is an environmental issue with mining, crypto mining, and how much energy is spent to run the AI data centers and stuff like that. That takes a lot of energy. They have a right that they believe that it will damage the environment. So
Mhm.
that's one of their big stances. The conservatives is more about the free speech, the freedom to be who themselves are, being authentic, saying what they want to say, creating their own spaces. They want autonomy over themselves, right? The right to govern themselves within an actual democratic nation with a president that actually listens to what the heck we say. And that those two stances are fair. And I don't think anybody who's watching this back would disagree with what I said. If you do, let's talk because I think that's exactly what it looks like. So they have their differences, but then in the middle, these financial institutions like BlackRock, Vanguard, they are making their plays. They're like, man, forget what y'all saying. We are in. Even the Trump administration is like, we are investing 20 million into ETH. We're going to make our own Trump coin, the Melania coin. And then find out it was Barron Trump who was the one who got Trump on all those podcasts. So seeing a family being involved in that space would would get a crypto nerd excited. That would get them excited. I don't care who you are. If you're a crypto nerd, that got you hyped up. That had you, man, look at this. Look, this is so good for crypto. And then they put the crypto friendly SEC dude in, Gary Atkins. They put him in. So now you got a crypto friendly SEC dude that kicked out Gary Gensler, that dropped all the Ripple cases, all the Coinbase cases, the Chainlink cases. They're all getting dropped. So now crypto, these guys are like, all right, let's deploy all that money from the stock market that dropped dramatically. And then Grace, it dropped and the news went stupid. Everybody on CNN, MSNBC was going crazy, right?
Mhm.
And then guess what? The S&P 500 has been on an 8-day game run straight. Not a crickets, not a word. It rebounded. And I'm like, you really think the market, you really, come on, man. Like this is, you could draw a fib and you knew it was going to pull back 50%. It was coming. Everything can't go forever. But that, if you don't have the ability to dissect perspectives and keep straight to a narrative, you don't have that, follow that 90-day plan I just gave you, you will have the mental fortitude to be able to continue investing despite all the chaos and noise.
The the fundamentals, the foundation, knowing the narratives and knowing what the noise is and what the distractions are, and then being able to match that with your technicals, like you said, it's a fib. Everything's basically down to a science. And being able to watch this happen in real life is who
It's
is it?
eye opening. It's beautiful.
It's crazy. The first time somebody ever said, watch the money, like follow the money, I was like, there's no way we can actually follow this money. And then you start seeing it go from one industry to the next market, and you're like, I saw it, I watched it, but
And
also
now with the blockchain technology, you'll be able to track where it goes in a public space. So I'm like Etherscan. You can watch transactions live in action happen.
you can
Someone
see that
someone deposited $200 million into Kraken the other day.
200 million.
What are we talking about? Like, what are we doing? That's calmly, not a peep, and you never know who they are.
Right. That's so
Oh
wild.
man, I love it. I love this conversation, Grace. I love this conversation. What else you got for me?
What else we got? When it comes to this podcast is called like Defy Your Limits. When it comes to like a limiting belief or something you've had to overcome, what would you say, like what would the story be, and then like what would the advice be for somebody listening? Have you had to overcome like a mental battle when it comes to trading or just in personal life or something along those lines?
Yeah, yeah. Had some dark, very dark. I'm pretty once. Learn to be okay with not getting praised by those you want praised. I felt victim for longing for my parents to say how proud they were of me in this business. Only because, the first time I told my mom what I was doing, it was like, oh, is that thing you got to sell to people to make money? And I said, "Look, no, I can learn how to make money off the forex market." And it was not an easy way for me to help them understand. And then we had disagreements. And I'm not saying that's we got over that. I am so blessed, guys. I'm not saying that we are dealing with that now, but this is, and I also within my own business, there were like mentors that I really, really looked up to. And I was like, man, I'm doing the things like say good job, like something. And it never came. And so after I moved back from Florida and me and my ex broke up, got into a nasty fight, I was pretty suicidal. At the time, it was not easy. And I think it was after my third attempt of failing, my mentor, Whitney, called me. It was about a 44 minute and 25-second conversation. And she just reminded me that how can you ever serve others if you haven't learned to serve yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like giving yourself grace, taking care of your own needs because the needs of others can always tear you down. It's like sometimes when somebody is drowning, you can drown yourself if you're not there. And that's what I fell victim to. So the way I overcame that was learning how to say no. It is okay to say no to certain things. No doesn't mean forever. No just means not right now. Not temporary. It's just temporary because you need to be very deliberate of where your healing is going to occur and who you allow in your circle in your healing, especially when you deal with something like what I did. It's not even because of the markets, right? And so you can't if you're not even in the best emotional state, the market looks like a chaotic beast that you want that completely psychologically tears you apart, that keeps you up late at night, that makes you not eat, lose sleep, you lose friends, you get into arguments. Like I've had nasty arguments with some of my best friends, my boy Danny and Austin. And I wouldn't say we're 100% on terms. I believe we're at respected. We have our respected differences now, and I completely respect it. And I never shy away from that ever. I know I was wrong in that situation. I take full accountability for what I did, and I was wrong. And so you have to learn. You have to learn to live with that. That there's going to be times where your relationships will crumble. Some will grow, and then some will come out of nowhere, out of the woodworks. And so now my business, I'm extremely blessed with the relationships that I have now. These are people that I can call my brothers and sisters. These are people that I can say that you're going to be invited to my wedding one day because of the simple understanding that we are in this industry together. The world may look at us backwards, but when I'm in those Telegram chats, all I'm seeing is growth, nativity, Bible verses, prophets, innings, motivations, testimonials, heart emojis, money bags, tear emojis, heart eyes, welcomes, rank advancements. Like all you're seeing is growth and growth and growth and growth. So, yes, does it seem crazy that all I want to speak about is positivity? Yeah, it may seem crazy in a world full of negative stuff. It may seem it, but if we want to look at the law of duality, if there's good, there's bad. If there's bad, there's good. If there's up, there's down. So if there's negative, there has to be what? Positive. It has to exist. And so I just learned to cling on to that. Study the enemy. Never move with ignorance towards what they can accomplish. You have to understand how they maneuver. But also you diversify you make sure that your energy is razor sharp here, and that personal development is your barrier to block off, to not let that veer in while you can still focus here. And so through my ups and downs, Grace, just to wrap it up, just learning to say no, learning to take care of yourself first before taking care of others, and then giving yourself grace when you make mistakes. I did those things and I do them now, and I am free. I feel great. I am in a great state of mind, and I love every single thing about this.
And like every time I hear your story, I'm like, you matter. You're like, I'm incredibly proud of you for all of the things you've been able to do, but just for you as an individual, as a human, it's very cool to see. But I know that stuff is deep and meaningful, but I know that that story can help so many individuals, and you being able to share that with more people is incredibly powerful. So thanks for opening up and being able to share that, Aaron, as always.
Absolutely.
But it's so much deeper than just trading. like we just experienced. It's so much deeper than just wanting to make some money in a different way than a traditional job. It's the relationships, it's the who you become in the process. And I think this industry as a whole, you get into it and you're like, this is not what I thought.
Right.
And
Right.
these are the conversations that I just, quite frankly, when I left sports, never really had. I'm like, you get into sports thinking it's going to be one thing, and then you get to build something with a team. You get to be on a purpose and a mission and a vision bigger than yourself. And then when you're just like in the world, there's no mission, there's no vision, and being able to be within this industry, doing what we get to do now, serves a bigger purpose. And I'm excited for more people to hear about it.
Yes, exactly. This is exciting.
Let's see. One more question, and I guess we'll wrap it up. What projects are you looking at right now? What's
I
been
am looking
like one of the most like
Stella Lumens,
stellar loom?
Stella Lumens. Actually, I have a list right here. Got a list. All right, here we go. So
Yeah,
here are my projects. Ondu, it is tied with BlackRock. Parcel, this is tied with Teller. You would just swap to Parcel. Pepe, meme coin. You could get this on Coinbase or Ledger. Daddy coin. This is Andrew Tate's Phantom wallet swapped with Solana. I'm very curious in that. So Centrifuge, you get that with Kraken. Proppy is with Coinbase. Render, Coinbase. Stellar Lumens or XLM on Crypto.com. Hedera coin on Coinbase. XRP Ripple on Crypto.com. AGIX on Uniswap. You just with Wrapped ETH. That's what you'll need to have. ICP on Coinbase. Filecoin on Coinbase. And Solana on Crypto.com. Those are my 2025 list of coins that I'm looking at and I'm interested in.
that's amazing. First, that if you guys do nothing more, research those. And when anybody tells you, just pro tip, when anybody gives you a list of coins, just research them. Don't go buy them. And that was like number one mistake. Most people starting out just go buy a bunch of stuff. Research those, and those are some great projects.
Research them. Once again, I gave a list of coins because I believe that some of them align with values that I uphold. Some of those coins for you may not align with what they uphold. So just because I provided you the coin, if you do your own research and read the right papers and it doesn't align, then take that off your list and move on. No harm, no foul, because it's your investment, and make sure that it's risky. It's risk in the market, right? And all those trading disclosures that we had to say, right? So, right. But at the end of the day, guys, Grace, I do appreciate me being here. It's always an honor and pleasure. I thank you so much for this, and I love it. I really do love what we do. I love the fact of what you're doing. I love this podcast. I hope your audience was able to find value today, and I hope that despite if there was something that I said that they disagreed, that we can engage in positive discourse. And I would love to have open discussions, open forums. I'm never back down from that. I love to hear perspectives and I love to hear people's opinions. And at the same time, Grace, like you are somebody that continues to push the needle forward for women who are inside of crypto, breaking down barriers and reminding women that is nothing to fear. That even though, yes, maybe crypto is a male dominant industry, but dang it, there are females that are killing it. And so if you can be able to align yourself with women like that, surrounded with women in a positive light like that, what can't stop you? So, Grace, it is an honor. Thank you.
Where can people find you, Aaron?
Social media, The Real AE is my biggest place there. So go ahead and hit me up there, message me, and just say, hey, appreciate you, love the podcast. If you have any questions, let's talk.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Honor and pleasure, Grace. We will talk soon, okay?
Talk soon.
Peace.